Hello everyone and welcome back to Newegg TV. I'm Steve and today I'm going to do an overview on this 3D printer from Makerbot. This is the Replicator 2. Alright, here's all the accessories that come in the box itself. I'll start with some of the paperwork. We do have a user manual for the Replicator 2 and I just want to show you just a couple pages inside, give you guys an idea of what you're dealing with Makerbot. They also have a 1-year warranty with this particular device, which is great in case you have any kind of issues. Also their support is extremely helpful, so they urge you to contact them if you have any issues. It's obviously a complex thing to use and it's nice to have support like that from Makerbot. They also provide for you an SD card. This particular one is 2 GB in capacity and it actually comes with a couple different objects on board already, so you can essentially start printing right away having nothing built yet. So let me put that to the side. Also providing a USB cord, obviously give you connectivity to your computer and allow you to transfer things across. If you don't want to use the SD card, you can always use the USB port on your computer in order to transfer everything across and print. Then we also have an AC adapter that they're providing, obviously to give power to the device, and of course the power cable itself, pretty standard. Most PC users are going to have a bunch of these laying around the house. And they also give you 3 of these sheets. These are basically, I guess for the feel of it, you'd think that they were just extra wide blue masking tape, but essentially covers the build plate itself and just keeps it nice and clean and tidy, so it's easier to remove your printed objects. Finally, they do give you, so that you can get printing right away, this 1-pound spool of PLA filament. It's clear, or basically the natural color, essentially giving you the ability to just print right off the bat. Also, this feeding tube is also provided. We've already started printing with it and playing around with it, so it'd be nice to show you guys that. Let me actually show you the 3D printer itself, give you a quick 360 shot of everything. So the whole printer here, it's actually a steel chassis, and it is using these plastic PVC panels to give it rigidity, but also try and keep it light. The full size measures in at 19 by 14.7 by 16.5 inches and weighs around 25 pounds. Now the print nozzle itself, which is probably the best part about this device, let me try and tilt it a little bit so you guys can get a good look at it. There we go, get a little bit of light in there. There's actually a little bit of melted filament that's hanging off the end of it, but it's right here. So that particular print head is, that print nozzle I should say, is 0.4 millimeters or 0.015 inches in diameter. And as I said before, it does come with a spool of PLA filament, but it only takes PLA filament, so you won't be able to use anything else with it. That's okay, because that's actually one of the better filaments out there. Let me go ahead and put this back down again. Other than that, the base plate I mentioned before is right here. That is acrylic, but because it's covered right now by that masking tape, you can't actually tell that it's just like a clear panel, but it's also removable. One of the bonuses of it being an acrylic build plate, though, is that you'll have less curling of the edges on your print jobs. So that's pretty nice when you're trying to print something. You don't want it to go bad on you really quickly. A couple things on the back real quick. We do have the USB port, clearly giving you connectivity to your PC, allowing you to print objects straight to it, although of course you could use the SD card slot as well in the front. I'll show you in just a moment, as well as the 4-pin power port here, be able to connect in the power adapter and a power switch. Let me go ahead and flip around back to the front again. And we do have the control panel here. You have the LED screen as well as the buttons to interact with it, up, down, left, right, and the middle button here is Makerbot's actual logo. It's also the enter button. And I just want to tilt it to the front and show you that they do have an SD card slot right here. Now, of course, you could just put the information that you're trying to print or the objects you're trying to print on that SD card slot and just pop right in. You don't actually need a computer connected to it for it to print. It just needs the objects on that card. And there actually are a couple objects that it came with preloaded. We'll show you guys a video here real quick of a shark that we printed. And here's that shark that you just saw printed, and I lined up the ruler here to give you guys an idea of exactly how big it is. It's about 2.5 inches. But aside from that, it took about 15 minutes for it to print. But I want to mention something about the Replicator 2's total build volume. Essentially, this only took us a few minutes to print, but if you wanted to know exactly how big you could print up to, that includes up to 11.2 inches in length by 6 inches in width by 6.1 inches at the height. So that's the maximum size that you can possibly print in this particular device. But let's go ahead and take a look at Makerbot's 3D software, Makerware. All right, so this is the Makerware software from Makerbot, and it is free. You can download it right now if you wanted to actually play around with it a little bit. You can basically see it's a pretty simple software for interacting with 3D objects. You can right-click or left-click and drag to move around it. Also, you can do other little shortcut keys, but essentially they do all the same things that you would get with these buttons here. So let me go ahead and pull in an object. This particular object I actually downloaded from Thingiverse, which is actually owned by Makerbot, which I'll show you here in just a moment. Right now it's telling me the object's too big, so I'm going to have to shrink it or scale it down to fit in our particular build space. So that's actually how big it would be if it filled the entire build space. I don't want it to do that. So I'm actually going to scale it down. Click the scale button here and just click and drag, and I can bring it into whatever size I want it to be, and it's telling me right there in millimeters exactly how big it actually is. Now you can do other things too, obviously, like move it and obviously turn it. And if you like it and you want to be able to print more than one of them, you can copy and paste it and drop in another one in there too. Now just remember, as long as it stays within this volume and it's fitting on the build plate obviously as well, then you'd be able to print multiple at once, and the head would just run around and build them all together at the same exact time. You can also Control-Z to go backwards and undo what you're trying to do. If you get lost in the navigation, always hit the home button, bring it back, and zoom out as well as zoom in. Clearly you saw me already using the Add button. That's actually how you add an object. They also have the Make button. It's going to make the object for you. And you can also save it after you've moved it around on the build plate. That way you can come back to it again afterwards. So that being said, I want to bring you guys back to the website I actually got this from, which is Thingiverse. It's a pretty cool website. So if you're not much for 3D development, then you can basically just jump into this website, and they're going to give you a whole bunch of different ones. I'm pretty sure that it's crowdsourced, so people are going to upload the things that they've made, and you can essentially make the things that are here just by uploading them into this particular device. A couple other things I want to mention too. The operating system that this particular program, Makerware, is supporting are Ubuntu Linux 10.04 and newer, as well as Windows XP and 7, and Mac OS X 10.6 and newer. One last thing I want to mention before we close this out. It's basically the software is going to allow you access to STL, OBJ, as well as Thing files. And Thing is actually Makerbot's very own file type that they actually have and own. There's also the ASCII2 STL type and binary STL type files, should you be using those with this particular program. All right, everybody, that's going to wrap up this overview of Makerbot's Replicator 2 3D printer. Now, if you liked what you saw today, don't forget to click the like button, and if you haven't already done so, click subscribe on any of our various YouTube channels, and we'll see you soon.